Hello and welcome to the latest Arcade Attack podcast. It's Adrian here and I'm walking into town today. That's a really bad pun. I'm going to keep it going though because I'm joined with my fellow walking person, Dylan.
Hello, Adrian.
You are currently sit down, Dylan. It's not.
I'm going to sit down now.
This is a non-walking zone.
I even did a robot voice, especially for the podcast.
And Rob, who is sitting down, how you doing, mate?
Hey, good to be back.
I thought today we'll go. We'll go back. It's a bit more obscure title for some. There's probably some people listening who might not even heard of this game before. It was only released on one platform, the Amiga. I'm talking about Walker.
That's good because I was walking, and when you started the podcast,
They made a game of that. Like,
Or someone walking.
I remember
around.
like the TV show with Chuck Norris, and he was
Walker Texas Ranger.
Walker
Yeah.
Texas Rangers. No, it was not that.
What is Walker, the game on the Amiga? Anyone know? You've heard about this game before? I'm sure you have.
Yeah, I actually, like, all jokes aside, I do remember that being one of the very few games in the 90s I actually wanted to get an Amiga to play.
Yeah.
It's like you're basically a big Ed 209, and you're shooting everything.
Basically, that's it. This is the perfect time to stop this pod, rewind, go to a previous pod, and listen to where I get my games from. Hashtag my Uncle Victor.
Uncle Victor.
So I got Walker. Well, it must have been 1993 because that's when it was released. So, you know, middle of the Amiga sort of timeline, would you say? It's a classic 2D shooter. You know, side-scrolling from right to left.
Right to left, people.
Not left to right.
Right to left.
No,
that's going to mess you up.
No. How many other games do you play right to left? Unless you're playing a football game, maybe.
Maybe a few levels of decap attack or something. But
That's odd, isn't it?
I don't know.
Kind of. I think it kind of goes back to language. Like, I think a big reason why Western games go left to right is because that's where our language goes.
Yeah.
But obviously not the same in... Do either of you know offhand any languages that go right to left?
Chinese, Mandarin, I think.
I know Hebrew
Only
does.
Arabic. That's about the big one, isn't it? That goes right to left.
Those comics I got you for Christmas, they were... You have to read backwards, don't you?
Yeah, the manga ones. Yeah,
The manga ones, yeah.
yeah, they're right. I love the way you say backwards.
No, that's... Yeah.
I know it's just different.
Just different.
Just different.
It's
Yeah,
just
but I think
different.
that is like a big kind of left to right is the default thing.
I think a lot of game developers threw it into games for us to throw off the player. So basically, you're doing it all left to right, left to right, left to right, and then for some reason it'll just be like in Decap Attack, or I think even World of Illusion does it. Does it World of Illusion do it? Am I making things up in my
You're
head?
making
But I
things
think
up again.
Making things up again.
But it does kind of feel a little bit strange. That's why if you're playing Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat,
If you're on
gonna
the other
head-to-head,
side.
Yeah.
you always want to be on the left and not the right. It always feels
definitely.
more
Yeah.
No.
real.
But that's odd, though, isn't it?
I can still go for my Hadoukens. Like if I'm on the right hand side of the screen, I can still go for my Hadoukens. That's the main thing.
You just do spinning bird... you just do the spinning kicks instead.
Come on.
That's it. You do that. Right, so back to Walker.
Okay, Jacko.
Back to Walker. It was released in 1993 in February. There you go.
In
I'm being
February.
specific.
Valentine's Day present for Adrian.
Exactly.
Like, Happy Valentine's Day.
Do you know what though? This game actually started developed many, many years before. You could almost argue it was in development hell for a number of years. I think actually, well, it was made by DMA Designs. We like DMA, don't we?
Oh, we're big fans of DMA. Yeah.
And I think they started it in the sort of really late 80s. I'm talking like maybe 88, 89 possibly, but it was in development for about 3 or 4 years. So how crazy. And at one point, I think it was almost canned completely.
That's long even for those days, isn't it?
It is really. Created
You sure
by...
it wasn't organised on Kickstarter?
Oh, here we go.
In joke.
No, a walk starter.
You're going to be unbearable this episode.
I gave it a laugh.
I love Walker actually. I'll chuck it out there earlier. I thought it was a brilliant game. It looked classy, and I'll talk more about why I like it so much later. But I got in contact with 2 key developers of the game,
and you can read interviews of them on the site right now.
big players, and these lovely gentlemen, Ian Dunlop and Neil Glancy. They're big time. They've worked on a number of big games, not just Walker, of course. Ian, for example, went on to work at Iguana Games, Turok titles. For example, lots of Turret games, Contra 4 as well, Hired Guns, a big DMA,
Those are
DMA
big
game.
games.
Neil Glancy as well also worked on the I think pretty fun South Park game. Do you remember that on the N64? He also worked at Turret Games, and he also worked on the latest Doom as well.
Turok or Turok?
Turok?
I call him Turok.
Turok.
Yeah, Turok.
Turok. And the latest Doom game as well. So big names, big credentials, and Walker, let's be honest, they helped resurrect a sleeping giant because honestly it was close to being, not being made.
It would have been a shame, I think, if it had never seen the light of day.
Usually by now I'd do my old back of the box, wouldn't I?
Back of the box.
Why not?
I can't do it. The thing is, I don't own a Walker box for one thing.
Oh my God, you're continuing.
And I'm not telling you my sources where I find my back of the box information usually. So I've got maybe the next best. I've got the story from the manual.
I'm game.
You ready for this?
I'm game.
Now, guys, sit back. Dylan's got a nice cup of coffee because this is quite a long story.
I mean, a lot of this involves murdering people. I mean, you murder a lot of people in this game, so there better be a pretty good justification for it.
Well,
I mean, God, you wipe out absolutely everyone in this game.
I love
Go
it.
on.
In a way, this is the kind of game you could make with very little story, could you? But they've got such a complex.
Basically going through a bunch of war zones and killing every single human you see.
Basically. But this story, I think, takes, I see what you think, but I think it's like, what's that game? Rise of the Robots story to another level, because that went on for a bit, didn't it?
I love that story.
Are you ready for this? I was thinking, do I try and cut this story down? But I'm going to give you the whole caboodle. Are you ready?
Everyone get comfy.
Get comfy. Right. I'm going to put my story voice on.
Story voice.
The shape grew in the dark. A grinding and clashing of metal filled the dank air as the immense hulk rose to its feet. Soldiers looked on, paralyzed by fear, at the shape that now stood tall and menacing, scant distance ahead. The machine settled itself, almost relaxing on its haunches, like a puma in weight, muscles flinching, silent and purposeful.
Flinching or flexing?
I've got here flinching.
Interesting.
Flinching.
A powerful hum drew attention towards the towering monster as gun turrets swung smoothly into view and began to scan the scene. Shouted orders now issued back and forth across the lines of infantry men who spurred into action. A rumbling heavy cannon drew up behind the lines with a loud hiss as air brakes brought its colossal weight to a halt. Yet it was still dwarfed by the Walker. Ooh. And there they lay, face to face, the might of the Endalian Time Force, a specially trained unit with the latest Mortor technology and the best backup hardware money can buy. Against the Walker, the machine from the future. Ooh. It came as no surprise, of course, to the troops on the ground facing the Walker. They've been waiting and preparing for weeks now, waiting for the time vacuum to burst its deadly load upon their doorsteps. Right, if we're continuing.
Oh my God, we're continuing.
Is the load going to be cleaned up? That's
well, but when the Walker did arrive, its sheer size drove dread into the hearts of the troops, whose task it was to destroy it. The history of the Time Wars was scarred with appearances such as this. The war broke out in the year 2370, following the invasion of the Mirian terbium mines by the great warring continent of Northern Endalion. But it took over 3 decades before the war entered its most deadly phase. With the shifting polarity of the mother planet, vast new tracts of space time opened up, in which these deadly war games could now be played. But it was Northern Endalion who reacted most swiftly. Suddenly, realizing the strategic advantages to be gained, they sent large forces of highly trained commandos back in time. There, the Time Bandits, as they were to become known, established bases in full knowledge of future enemy maneuvers. This meant that the war being waged in the present could be irrevocably altered by the war in the past.
irrevocably.
A war.
Stop correcting him.
A war in which the Andalians would have a huge advantage of both surprise and technology. It was only when entire units of the Mian army were thrown out of existence by the actions of the Endalian Time Bandits that the Miran High Command realized the immense danger their essentially peaceful nation was in. And so it was that the AG-9, codenamed Walker, was born.
Wait a minute. The essentially peaceful nation that have been at war for 30 years with their neighbours.
Well,
yeah.
But here we go, a weapon which could be taken back through time and challenge the Endalian units established in past time zones. Engineering criteria required a self-contained and energy-efficient unit, thus expansive armor, and a powerful yet efficient weapon system would be required. Plus the ability to travel any terrain at speed necessitated a bipedal movement system.
I'm doing it now.
Bipedal
movement system. The only compromise this design required was the need for a large heat sink at the back of the craft to dissipate the heat produced by the walker's power source.
Ooh.
Thus produced,
Like a nice heat sink.
thus produced, the walkers were sent through the Mirian time gate and into battle, leaving the high command waiting with bated breath to see how many returned. Almost there, ladies and gents.
Jesus.
History now relates the ensuing events up to the present day of how the Endalian forces attacked the Walker installations, halting Walker productions for any foreseeable future. It also tells of how only one Walker returned in a usable state, limping through the time gate to report to the sole successful mission of Walker operations. No other mission results were reported. With hindsight, it was rather ironic that these events happened at the time that the Mirian intelligence units communicated the presence of 4 key Endalian positions within the timescape, which it appeared, with the enigmas thrown up through time travel, could prove decisive in the wars. It was noted that should these 4 bases be destroyed, Endalian forces in the present would cease to exist. And so, armed with a piece of information, the Mirarian commanders turned their attention to the remaining Walker unit. Conventional attacks could not be successful because speed was of the essence to prevent present-day Endalian units mobilizing quickly and reinforcing the remaining key installations. Only a Walker unit would be quick enough and versatile enough to complete the mission within these time constraints, but only one Walker remained operational, and it had only one chance for survival.
So you're saying that in this game, you're a cross between Ed 209 and the T1000.
Yes.
And your job is to literally murder everyone you see,
Yes.
and you're the hero.
At different time zones, Rob.
Different time zones. It's basically like a mashup between RoboCop and Terminator and some kind of war movie, isn't it?
Basically, yeah.
It just, come on. Just say you're a massive ED209, annihilate everything, enjoy yourself.
Bob's your uncle.
Why? They've hired someone to come up with that, haven't they?
Yeah.
It definitely sounds like either part-time or frustrated author.
It really does, doesn't
Walker,
it?
the novel.
Or, I don't
Coming
know,
soon.
I don't know if Neil or Ian have given that a crap, but that is
You're not
something.
a fan of the story?
No, I'm not a fan of the story, I'll be honest with you.
It was alright. Like,
It's not horrific, but reading that wouldn't make me want to play the game. I would prefer you are ED209, annihilate everything. Alright, then I'll play.
I don't know, I quite like the story.
Yeah, Rob's a fan.
Do you really feel the story when you play the game? No, you do not. You don't feel anything about any of that, but anyway, go on.
Well, you call the robot Ed 209, but it's actually AG9. Get it right?
See, I know, but I'm just using the RoboCop thing.
I know. So yeah, you take control of a gigantic robot, codenamed Walker. It's a simple mission, really. The story's not simple. Guide Walker through 4 time zones and kill everybody and destroy everything in sight.
It's kabooming.
I love it. I do love time travel, though. I have to say, I'm a massive fan. I love time travel as a concept, but really, you don't really even feel that in this game.
I don't even like through the different levels. It doesn't feel like you're going to different time zones.
To be a little bit of defense, they do have sort of more advanced weaponry in the future. Like these
the backdrops are slightly different.
Backdrops, different colours.
They're different colours.
Different colours.
Yeah, they go from like dark purplies to like other purplies.
Dark reddish and dark greenish.
Yeah.
Hey, it's more than you get in Syndicate.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I suppose.
So there's basically 4 big stages, and each stage has kind of got 2 levels, so kind of 8 levels in total, 2 for each time zone. Do you want to hear the dates of the time zones? It's quite good timing, really.
Go on then.
We've got 1944 Berlin.
Yep. Oh, you got to have the classic Berlin level.
Then I think the next stage is randomly 2019 Los Angeles. So in the future, we've gone past that.
Whoa, that's madness.
So it's kind of in the future, but not.
If we can kind of take a side point, actually, a surprising number of films that are set in the future have 2019 as their actual date.
Blade Runner? Good. Am I thinking of something?
Blade Runner, I think maybe one of them. I know for a fact Running Man is one of them.
Yeah.
That's mad, isn't it? We're actually past that, and the future looks nothing like...
I don't see any Ed 209 giants walking around Croydon anytime soon.
No.
If you go on with that, I'm going to look up what the other films are.
Go on then, yeah.
The next, so the contemporary, oh god, this is today's time, and this is 1993, contemporary Middle East. That was the third stage, so it will go back to your current time. And the final date, time zone is 2420, Earth during the Great War.
2040, is it?
Yeah, 2420.
2420?
Yeah,
Jeebus.
way in the future.
Oh yeah, before, after they've had this crazy war thing. Alright.
So yeah, you use, basically the game's quite simple. You've got huge machine guns. That's your kind of default weapon, isn't it? Really good machine guns.
I've only ever had the machine gun in it.
But you can lock on, can't you? You can lock on.
Oh, you can get the little, do I remember missiles? Can't remember missiles.
You know what? You can shoot missiles as well, with them. Yeah, I believe you can actually shoot missiles.
Oh man. Never used those, never worked out how to use those.
But yeah, what's the big thing about the machine guns? What's the sort of pros and cons of it?
It overheats, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, and I found that game, it was a great game, but oh my words.
Loads of games have used that actually since, but yeah, the whole overheating thing's really annoying because you just want to hold the button down, but I suppose it gives, you have to think, to think about
NBA Jam.
You have to think about
just like NBA
Turbo,
Jam.
Just like the turbo button in NBA Jam. Yeah,
but I do kind of prefer that to the thing where you run out of ammo.
What? And you have to pick.
Yeah,
up
so
more
it's
ammo.
unlimited ammo, to be fair, but you have to keep the temperature at the right areas.
Yeah. It's really annoying when you really want to shoot things and just kind of like waiting for it to like cool down a bit, and then you have to like keep on using it up, and it's like just like you're like tapping them with single bullets, pretty much. I'm like,
oh man, God. And the sound as well. Do you remember the sound? It's really good, isn't it?
Oh yeah, man. The sound
I love the sound. It's peak Amiga sound card, and it sounds just like. So I did go back to YouTube to look this up. It sounds like so much like kind of Amiga sound card, like Death Strike did when you first. Come in.
Yeah.
The person that says that, there you go, little spoiler, little treat for you, is actually from Neil Glancy, the person we interviewed. So he actually done the voice.
He does the old voice there, yeah.
Commando coming in.
That's cool. When the devs do their own sound effects, back in them days, man.
The good old days.
Love that.
It's weird because they said there's only one walker, isn't it? But if you do die, I think you got 3 lives.
It doesn't resurrect that walker. It says, oh, here's another one.
Yeah, it's like, we'll patch you up, send it out again.
I know.
So you got 3 lives in total. If you lose all lives, the game's over. Hey man, it was hard as nails, right? I remember
it's too hard. I didn't get very far. I think I got to the level with the red backdrop. Is that the second or third level?
Ooh, I think that might be the second one, yeah, actually.
So the purpley one is like the first one, isn't it? And then
the greeny one.
Is it the greeny?
Greeny one might be the last one, actually.
I know, yeah, because I got as far as like the reddish one, and then I was like, this is too hard.
It's too hard. I used to love playing it, and actually, it sounds like a one-player game, doesn't it?
What do you mean?
Well, Walker.
But it sounds like a one-player game.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
As in, I used to play it with my brother.
What? Oh, did you? Oh, you had one of you had the joystick and one of you had the thing.
Yeah. That's right. Oh my word! The controls. Not only are you going right to left. The controls are. It chucks up the cat amongst the pigeons because you can you got to use the mouse. That's a given. But you also have to sort of walk the walker as well, left and right.
Yeah, to make sure he doesn't get hit by stuff.
Yeah, so that's an important role. Bit more of a boring role, really. But I remember
it's a one-player game. I can't believe you split it between the two.
Of course, I would do the walking, and my brother Mike would do the shooting.
Oh, that's no wonder you got further in the game.
We did get further.
I was doing it by myself. I was doing it on my Todd.
So I'd argue it's more of a 2-player game. You've got to, use your teamwork. At the end of each level, there is a big boss. Remember the bosses? One of them was like a mass. I think the final boss was a huge tank, really. There was a cool sort of crane. I think that was the 3rd level boss. I think there was like a missile shooting thing as well. So the bosses are pretty cool. Every good shooter needs a good boss, right?
Yeah.
There are 2 difficulty levels in the game, arcade and easy. But only the first 2 stages are playable in easy mode. Maybe that was why Dylan...
I think that's why I only experienced those levels.
Yeah. It
has to have a Dylan mode. I'm sorry. I can't
exactly.
have to have... I'm not
so
playing
you might
stuff
complete it on easy mode. You never know.
That's probably what I did.
What I like about it actually is the graphics. I think it's sharp. The figures, like the little figurines, the men that walk around. It's brilliant. Almost like Stickmen, but the animation is so spot on.
The animation on the walker is really, really impressive.
Top notch. I would argue it's one of the best graphics. Not all the game, but just on the walker especially. You're right, Rob.
It's like flashback level animation.
Yeah. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's astonishing.
Incidentally, I've completed the research.
Ooh.
Both Blade Runner and Running Man, 2019, but also, amongst other much more obscure films, Akira,
Okay.
Oh.
Daybreakers, the Ethan Hawke vampire film,
Oh, yeah.
The Island,
The Island. Yes.
yeah, don't get too excited, and The Road,
Okay, yeah.
that really depressing adaptation of the Cormac McCarthy novel,
Oh, no,
Yeah,
no.
with Viggo thingy.
Viggo Mortensen.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
depressing.
2019. That was great.
I hope they make
Why?
a Walker movie
Why
based in
2019?
2019. Yeah. Do you want to hear about the development and how it went through some dodgy periods?
Yes, please.
How on earth did it last 4 years in development, Adrian?
Well, actually, we'll kind of get back to that, but just before it's going to be released, the game was also going to have 2 different features, 2 different types of levels. This is really interesting. Some of the alternate levels would be more sort of platform shooters. So I think you could actually leave your Walker device, and I'm not sure how it would look exactly, but maybe the size of a normal sprite running around and jumping around and stuff.
A run and gun.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, again, it didn't happen. It wasn't up to the standard. They just stuck to the basic shoot 'em up. So yeah, it's developed for 3 or 4 years. It went into limbo for a year or 2. And actually, it came at the same time really, where DMA came up with Lemmings. So I think Lemmings took a lot of the sort of effort, the sort of, people moving into that project, and it's kind of just parked the bus a little bit. So David Jones, the founder of DMA Design, love to interview him one day if possible. He wanted to work on Walker following the release of Blood Money in 1989, and what was the inspiration for the game's mech?
Yeah, AD209.
I do think it's I think
Robocop.
I think that's in there actually.
I mean, if he's not said that, that's taking the mickey. It looks exactly like AD209.
If it's not that, I would say maybe one of those Japanese, like
Japanese
Macross or
mech things.
Gundam-like things.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I thought I had it actually. Maybe I cut it out. But actually, interestingly, the game's mech development originated from a sprite from Lemmings, apparently. So in 1991, and originally designed for Blood Money. So I suppose they must have drawn something and reused it. But
The people you shoot on the ground look a little bit like the Lemmings.
I think it's all
That's one thing. But there's
Yeah.
a lot of industrial stuff in the Lemmings levels, isn't
True,
there?
that could be
I
it.
just wonder if they've taken something from that. But there's
Actually, the graphics are kind of similar in that you have like a brighter foreground and a much darker background in the same way you do in the Lemmings games.
Yep.
Like the kind of stuff in the background is all like in shadow and very
There's
dark.
a lot of shadow in that background.
Yeah. The graphics animation for Walker, we have to give credit to Scott Johnston here. He actually, a freelancer at the time, so he wasn't a proper employee, but he wrote a small program to correctly render the Walker's head in position, which could then be altered in Deluxe Paint. So it's really clever, isn't it? How the head moves
If
around.
that's
as
all
you
been done in
target.
Deluxe Paint, then that's pretty amazing.
I mean, credit where it's due.
Yeah.
But there, in early 1990, Jones scrapped Walker because the design was not coming together and began development of a new game called Gore. But this was also later scrapped.
Some of the games get scrapped. That might be good,
I know, right?
Gore.
Yeah, so
I'm guessing it was a bit gory.
yeah, I guess so too. I've got here, so it's a shame, isn't it? But hey, it came out eventually. They eventually got it out there.
Well, I eventually got it from you, so that was good. I didn't. Sorry, there's another Amiga game I didn't buy back in the day.
I feel like my papers mixed up. Sorry, give me 2 seconds. Dylan, talk to me about your love of the game and
So basically, Adrian used to give me chunks of games at a time at school, right? So the Monkey Island games and etc. etc. And he's like, "Oh, Walker," because I'd heard a little bit about Walker. I was like, "Okay." The first couple of times I tried to load it, you know what happened? I got that red software error message.
Boo, I hate that message.
I was like, my A1200 just can't handle this. I was like, okay, I just give up. But it must have just been just something, a fleck of dust in the drive or something somewhere that was stopping it because I got it working. I got that damn thing working.
Yes.
And it was phenomenal. And I don't say phenomenal often.
Phenomenal.
Like, for me back in those days, I'm thinking, okay, what? I have to use the keyboard and the mouse. I'm down with that. That's cool. I can do that. But it's like, oh,
Bring it on.
It was like so violent. I'm like, oh my god, this game is violent.
It was
So
violent.
like you presumably use the mouse, the keyboard to go left and right.
Yeah.
And then the mouse to actually aim the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you see the cursor on the screen, and you just wiggle, you just move the mouse around, and it points it in the right, it points the turrets in the right direction, and then you just, man, I think I had the mouse on the right hand side, I think, and man, my index finger was done in.
It's never been the same since, is it?
I've got arthritis in that finger now because of that game. So yeah.
Well, we got to do. It's a 2-player game. I keep telling you, Dylan.
Shut up! It's not a 2-player game.
Well, good old Jonesy. We call him good old Jonesy because he had a lot of stuff done for Walker. It didn't quite feel right. I think it was probably close to saying this ain't working. But probably one last throw of the dice, he decided to hire Ian Dunlop and Neil Glancy and said, "Look, we got this.
Guys.
We got this game. You can redesign it if you want. Just make it work." And they did. They did. So I've actually done a little snippet of a little bit of the interview. It's obviously readable.
Well, I've read them both, but yeah, go on then.
So I said, "Neil, good old Neil, I loved Walker on the Amiga. Do you remember how this game was first perceived? And what was the early ideas and concepts for this classy game?" And he said here, "I met Ian Dunlop, the programmer who coded Walker, in Edinburgh, Scotland." There you go, just in case you want to know where Edinburgh is. And we hit it off right away.
People don't know where Edinburgh is, so it's good to mention it.
It's true. We hit it off right away, and we both love games. Ian mentioned he was working on Walker, and I mentioned I was working on graphics, and I shipped some games. I offered to create some test graphics for Ian to audition in the game. These graphics focus on the 3 main areas: the little soldiers you shoot, the game backgrounds, and finally, particle FX. At the time, I was really inspired by Akira's lighting and wanted to create sprites with detailed shadows, dynamic lighting, and motion blur. This was unheard of at the time. Yeah, unheard of at the time, yeah. So the results, when you saw them in motion, were really compelling. Ian integrated his graphics into the game, and the results are very impressive. The new look raised the bar from the basic graphics that were implemented previously. Here we go. Spoiler alert though, little twist. Sadly, these enhanced graphics didn't ship in the final version of the game, as the newly enhanced look came in too late in production. So David Jones chose to keep the old graphics in the game so it could meet its publishing schedule.
Oh.
So I like the look of Walker, but could you imagine what it could have been?
It could have looked a whole lot better.
Yeah.
Do you know what, the more I think about it, the more I kind of think, maybe it's because we've mentioned this earlier on, but it does remind me a lot. The look reminds me a lot of the Mega Drive Robocop Terminator.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. I'll chuck another little quote from Ian then, because it would be unfair not to put in a bit of his interview. Mm-hmm. I said, "What was your exact role in Walker, and how did you and Neil Glancy work together to create such an amazing game?" He said, "It's hard to say with a degree of accuracy. I know I was on it from the start to finish. I wasn't getting paid a lot, and there wasn't a lot of management push to get this game done through early on. So I experimented a fair bit. But early on, I did establish the control method and how the Walker functioned. My role was lead. I did programming duties and the game duties. DMA design didn't really have much of a say early on. It was only later, I think 3 or 4 years in, that they decided to rein in the scope and wrap it up."
That's just so mad.
You wouldn't be allowed that anymore, would you? 3 or 4 years?
No, that's just ridiculous now. You'd bankrupt a dev company doing that, wouldn't you?
Exactly.
Bankrupt a publisher.
I also asked him about the sort of novel control system, the mouse and joystick/keyboard. And I asked, how did that come about? I said, I can't really remember any issues with the actual implementation. It was inspired by the 3D orientations of the Walker head sprites that Scott originally made. I wanted something that was easy to aim. I've always been a fan of coin-op arcade games that employed unique control schemes that made you feel like you were interacting with the controls of a craft, instead of controlling an on-screen avatar's movements directly. So he mentions Battlezone. So there you go. So kind of an arcadey feel.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I like it.
I haven't got back of the box, like I said, but I do have a advertisement snippet as well from the game that from that I think went across all the countries. You want to hear it?
Yep.
Dylan's excited.
I'm very excited for this, mate. You go for it.
Film full of dread. It's the most awesome machine of mass destruction over to stalk your screen. Fitted with the most powerful twin cannons yet developed and a real mean attitude. The Walker has the destructive powers of a H-bomb and the charisma of a Kalashnikov.
Kalashnikov.
Then drill him full of lead. So that should have been the story.
Yeah, that should have been the story. And they would have saved themselves loads of pages of the manual and saved some trees.
I think I prefer the manual story.
Ooh. Yeah. Walker 2. Walker 2.
Yeah.
Walker 2 was
Walker 2, man.
That was a 2-player game.
Well,
Never was made, was it?
It's cancelled, never made. I asked Neil again. because Walker 2 was in development. I said, what, did you ever start work on the cancelled Walker 2? Can you explain some of the ideas? And good old Neil, he says, yes, I was lead development of Walker 2, internally called ABS, for nearly a year until I left DMA to come to the States. There were many improvements we wanted to make to the original Walker formula. Firstly, we were planning to stream the backgrounds of a CD-ROM so they could be very much more detailed, epic and varied. In addition to this, there would be a meta game of expanding your Walker business as well as full customization of the Walker's loadout
expanding
and appearance.
Your Walker business. Oh my god!
How cool is that? I still have a ton of.
You love that. You're a business studies teacher.
Yeah, I still have a ton of artwork and sketches from the design and look back on this project fondly. I would love to revisit this one day. Neil, do it.
And also in Neil's interview on the site, he's given us loads of the concept art, hasn't he?
Yes.
For ABS. So Walker fans, definitely check that out. If not for the words of Neil, definitely for the drawings.
I mean,
if they do make that, there has to be a bit at the beginning where the Walker. Have you ever seen Cocktail?
Yeah.
It has to be the bit in Cocktail where Tom Cruise goes for those job interviews and no one wants to hire him.
Yes.
Walker has to go on all these job interviews and no one wants to hire him. And then he goes, I'll start my own business, a Walker business.
Yeah.
I will start my own Walker business.
Yeah. A time travel business. I said one last quote from Neil. I said, why was Walker 2 cancelled? And do you feel there's room for a new game in today's series? And well, he's kind of answered already, but he says, I can't say definitely why the game was cancelled, but I think it was in large part due to the first Walker game receiving a lukewarm reception.
It wasn't amazingly received for a few reasons.
I saw kind of mid-80s, low 80s scores for it when I was doing some research. I liked it, but I guess it wasn't everyone's cup of tea.
What was keeping it? Was just the lack of mobility for the Walker?
No, the main complaints were it got a little bit stale, a little bit too samey.
It's very samey.
Yeah.
I mean, I think a lot of it is so polished, and so technical. It was a bit of a wonder piece, wonder piece on the old Amiga there. But the backgrounds are dull. It's all very repetitive. The action, I guess, that kind of thing grates on you a little while.
I suppose that's why they originally wanted those kind of interesting sort of other levels in between, the kind of run and gun levels possibly, but
to break it up a bit.
Break it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I never got bored of it, but I can understand why some people would get annoyed at it. Yeah, so he says here, had the game done better, we might have felt more confident in doing a sequel. At the same time, DMA was going through some changes as well, with a number of staff leaving the company, including myself. So I think it just fizzled out. I would love to revisit ABS though. There were loads of great ideas there that folks would enjoy today.
Did he say that there'd be a kind of like an FMV CD-ROM thing for the backgrounds? Is that what?
That's what he said.
Meant?
Yeah.
So a bit like how Mega CD games were, like Sealpeed and stuff.
Yeah, I think that could. Yeah.
Or like Mega Race. So basically just the FMV behind the action, and then that could have been quite cool actually.
I mean, would you have kept it 2D, or would you have gone crazy 3D?
Would I have kept it? I mean, there's enough 3D mech games out there. I'm sorry, but there's just loads of them, aren't there? So I definitely keep it 2D, and it's just vary up the action a bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Just vary up the action, vary up the backgrounds. With the FMV thing would be pretty cool. But yeah,
maybe if the Walker could retract its legs and fly.
Flying Walker.
Wow.
Then it would be
left to right shooting levels.
Then it would be Flyer though.
We ready for this? Right, if you complete the Walker game, and I've seen the walkthrough, that's how it ends. You actually you kill the massive tank at the end, this huge thing, this massive sort of kick-ass kamikaze. It looks, like Robot Wars. It looks like one of those massive, obviously, huge scale. You actually leave your legs, and you're like a little flying pod.
And he just flies away.
And that's the end credits. You fly off.
You abandon your legs and fly away.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, exactly.
That's up to them. That's how they want to do it. That's fine.
I chucked it on good old Twitter, didn't I? What people's views were. So a few little quotes here. So good old Dino. We called him old Dinosaur.
Dinosaur, yeah.
He said a unique game and one that isn't mentioned often. A shoot 'em up with keyboard and mouse. Can't say I've played it much, as I only discovered it a couple of years ago via WHT Load, whatever that means.
WHT Load is just an emulation thing. Blah, blah.
Do you have literally, whenever you bring these out, do you have literally do you read out every answer? Because
no.
A lot of the time it seems like you read out stuff and people go, I never really played it.
Yeah, I've heard about it, but
I've heard about it. We don't get an awful lot of responses when we don't. Not like we get like hundreds of responses, is it?
I just. Would you want another one? So Richard Troop, he says, I thought it was a really unique concept for a game, and it still stands up well today. So I don't know if that's a clever joke.
Stands up well today. I think that's funny. I tip my hat to that.
Richard.
Tip my hat to Divvy.
I quite enjoyed the controls once I got used to them, and it pains me that there aren't more people aware of this classic game. Andy Endine, we like him.
Andy.
He said it never received a release on the greatest 16-bit home micro, the Atari ST. Boo.
Ooh, I mean, it would have been an easy port to the Atari ST, wouldn't it?
So my experience of Walker is limited to playing it on the demo Amiga in Alder's store in Croydon.
Wow, Aldous Croydon played it. Oh, well done, mate.
It was good fun, and the animation of the little dudes was great. I'd definitely play a remake. Actually, I think it's in the interview. They were making Walker for the Mega Drive, I believe. I think it was touted at the very least.
How would that have worked?
Actually, yeah, how would that have worked on the Mega Drive? 2 controllers.
Oh, I've just worked it out. So, no, because you could use B and C for left and right, like that, and then use the D-pad for the cursor, and then use A for the shoot.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. Rob's like, no, don't do that.
Explain.
Use left and right for left and right. Like, you kind of keep the rough target thing, use up and down.
Oh, just on an axis. Yeah. Just go up and down on that.
And then just have so everything you shoot, it goes in a straight line.
Yeah, well, that could work. Yeah. It had to be really quick though, wouldn't it? Otherwise you'd be like, yeah.
I think our listeners kind of understand that. Yeah. Matthew Smith, huge Amiga fan. We like his work. He said,
he's got the old Amiga Power music.
He does.
Kickstarter.
So I tagged him in. I thought I'll tag Matty Boy in because, you know.
Oh, he's got something to say about it.
And he had a few choice words. He said, big fan of this one. I'd be intrigued to learn more about the platforming sections they cut off the finished game, which were originally going to see you exit your Walker and infiltrate bases on foot.
Yeah, not much to write home about, mate.
Moving on quickly. This is interesting. John Shawler, who works on the Amigos podcast, I believe.
Amigos,
he says Walker is more of a tech demo than Shadow of the Beast. And that's saying something. Stages take forever, there's no variety, and everything other than the Walker is just very, very drab.
Bit harsh.
But
I can kind of see where he's leaning, but I think he's a little too far there. So it's like, the Walker looks brilliant. Everything else is drab. No, the little guys are pretty cool. All their little vehicles and stuff when they're moving out is pretty cool. The action's pretty good, but the backgrounds are, oh my god, they're drab. They should have got the other graphics in. They shouldn't have kept the old stuff. They should have brought in the new stuff.
And final Twitter response from Ross Taylor. He said, I loved this game and thought the control system scheme was great. My friend at Nicodemus managed to complete the game without realizing you could lock on with the right button.
Ooh,
Yep. Look, guys, Walker's been and gone. It's a shame. I haven't played it for yonks, but it's up there for my kind of nostalgia Amiga times. Love playing it with my brothers. Hard as nails. The sprites are great fun. The animation is top notch. I personally think Walker should come back. I don't know there's enough hoo-ha about it, but I would love to see Walker 2 finally get released.
Do you not think it would be 3D in this day and age?
It probably would be, but I wouldn't like it to be. I wish it was kind of really polished. Actually, I quite like the pixel art. I think it works well with it, but, really just sort of a bit more variety in between,
Well, so what kind of levels would you have in between the walking levels? Not platforming weirdy levels, but... would you?
The moonwalking levels?
Moonwalking levels?
Maybe flying off, like more R-type kind of levels. Kind of, you can actually leave your legs.
Into a shmup a bit.
Yeah, making a shmup. Maybe you could exit your Walker as a human as well. Like, you'd be a little sprite running around.
You wouldn't do a bit of buying of stocks and shares.
Yeah,
and
like a business sim.
Like trading on your floaty value and stuff. Like, Walker shares are up. Sell.
That's
sell.
Yeah, make Walker like a SimCity sort of game. Just build up your
you have to negotiate. But like that negotiating bit in Theme Park where you get the hands.
But you got your big leg.
Stretch out the hands with the union guys.
Your chicken legs sticking out.
Whoa.
Do you know, actually, I think would have made Walker better if you could collect a better variety of guns.
Yeah.
Yeah, loads more weapons, I think it needed. But yeah, it's lots of things.
Lots of people on paragliders. I have to say, in Walker, there's loads of people in paragliders.
Yeah, they just paraglide just to be annihilated.
I know. Exactly. Actually, yeah, I don't think you can shoot missiles, but you can lock on. It almost feels like you should be able to. Oh, look, I've locked on. Now I can shoot my missiles.
No,
but
you can just shoot the gun still.
you can just shoot your guns. Yeah, I agree, Rob. More weapons.
It should be like in Cannon Fodder where you press the 2 buttons and you get like a grenade or something, or like a
yeah.
missile. It's like, that's what it should be. That's what they should have done.
Yeah, Walker Cannon Fodder mash
Cannon
up.
Fodder would have been released. No, but they wouldn't have known about it actually, would they? Was Cannon Fodder released the same year, 93?
Yeah, I think you're right.
Oh, I think I know what they would do with the 2020 Walker. You'd have a mode where you could be the humans. You could coordinate the attack against the Walker.
Ooh.
Oh, so you could like
The other side.
tackle the walker. So set up barricade or sniper in the thing that's going to get annihilated or paragliders.
Yeah, you can have like a paragliding level. You've got a paraglide.
I like you're
Like pilot wings. A pilot wings kind of game.
Yeah, I was
pilot wings.
thinking it seems very N64.
Yeah. Well, that's free. It's got to be 3D then if it's on N64.
Well, if you're paragliding, you would have to be.
Well, yeah, of course. So yeah, paragliding Walker mashup. Do it. Neil, if you're listening, make it happen. Yeah, anyway, check out the great interviews on the site. I mean, they've done some other stuff as well. Great games, so thank you for their interviews. To finish up, though, I've made a Walker quiz.
Finish up, but you were just
Walker
getting into your
Texas
stride.
Just get to your stride. If I talk any longer, we need Zimmer frames, all this. Ugh. So, pens are ready, Rob and
This
Dilsey.
is why you gave us pens and paper earlier.
This is a quiz about different things and people called Walker.
This quiz is purely about Walker, so we have to wait and see.
You know I hate quizzes. You know I never do well in these.
Most
Well, neither do I, so one of us is going to get lucky this time.
most of the questions I've given you A, B, C, or D kind of options, but not the first one. This is your chance, and I want the answer at the end of the quiz. This is like a bonus point. Walker, Texas Ranger, starred the amazing Chuck Norris. I'll give a point to the person who can come up with the best Chuck Norris joke or fact. You've all heard him. Can you think of one? You've got the whole quiz to think of one, and we'll do it right at the
a
end.
really good one.
A real fact or one of those stupid internet things?
I like the stupid ones, yeah.
I hate those.
Well, there's a point in it, Rob.
Another thing that Maddox ruined about the internet back in Web 1.0 days.
Good old Chuck Norris memes.
Yeah.
So the proper first question then. So, Rob, start thinking about that crazy Chuck Norris one.
I've got one. I've written it down.
Des Walker
I knew it!
was an English international footballer. He is well known for playing for Nottingham Forest. How many appearances did he make for Dylan's favourite football team? I've got 4 options.
This is a fair question. Go on.
A, B, C, or D. A, 274. B, 289. C, 199. Or D, 421. And there's another sort of LinkedIn bonus point for this. How many goals did Des score in his whole footballing career across any team? And you just got the closest person to this gets the point.
Okay.
Ready for question 4?
Yep.
Race walking is a real Olympic sport! Exclamation mark.
It is.
Yusuke Suzuki has the world record time in completing the 20-kilometer race. What is his time? What is the fastest time ever someone's done race walking for 20 kilometers? Is it A, 1 hour 1 minute, B, 1 hour 16 minutes, C, 1 hour 34 minutes, or D, 2 hours 1 minute? So how roughly long is 20 kilometers in miles, would you say? I don't know, is that 15?
I don't know. I've tried to estimate it. I've failed probably.
Yeah, I don't care. I just
We just put down anything now.
5.
We're like, what do we even win for beating the other person?
I thought 4 was up next.
Oh, no. So 1 was the Chuck Norris kind of bonus question.
Yeah.
So 1 was Chuck Norris bonus question.
2 was Des
2
Walker
was Des
appearances.
Walker, 3 was Des Walker goals.
Oh,
and
okay.
4 was that, wasn't it? Yeah.
Walker's is UK's biggest crisp brand.
It is.
Which
Is it?
is their most
It is.
popular flavour of crisps, according to their FAQ page. You can just write it down. You don't need the options.
Salt and Lineker.
Are you ready for question 6?
Yeah.
The Walking Dead used to star Andrew Lincoln. What is his actual birth name? Is it A, Andrew Clutterbuck, B. Andrew Shuttlecock, C. Andrew Clustertuck, or D. Andrew Muscletop? A, B, C,
Rob
or
will
D?
know because he knows about movie things.
They're all quite silly names.
And TV things.
I don't know that.
You know that.
And
if you don't get that right, then you're rubbish.
are you ready for this? Question 7. Paul Walker sadly died a few years ago. But he did star in everyone's favourite film, She's All That.
He did.
What is the current rating of She's All That on the IMDb score out of 10?
Okay.
Is it A, 4.9, B, 3.9, C, 6.9, or D, 5.9? And the penultimate question, there's 9 in total randomly. Walk the Line starred Joaquin Phoenix as Johnny Cash. He also played the Joker. The Joker was also played by Cesar Romero in the classic
Cesar Romero in
the classic 60s Batman starring Adam West. In this series, Burgess Meredith also played the Penguin. Burgess Meredith.
Tenuous.
Burgess also.
I knew where you were going.
Burgess also played Mickey in many classic Rocky films.
Surprise!
Rocky question.
Rocky famously ran up the Philadelphia steps to the art museum.
Running.
How many steps are there? Is it
Again,
A?
Dylan's been to this place numerous times and got up the stairs and taken photos. How the hell is this fair?
Is there 120 steps? A. B, 96 steps, C, 72 steps, or D, 78 steps? It's a tad unfair, actually. Sorry, Rob.
It's not because I can't remember how many steps are in each section. So
And the final question, a bit of an anticlimax. How many points is the word Walker worth in Scrabble? And the closest gets it, obviously.
I like all these Walker game related questions. Rob's still thinking about it.
So, listeners, I'll go for the scores soon, but I'm not sure how Dylan and Rob are going to do, but we'll see if you can beat them.
Oh yeah, everyone has to be writing down their answers as well.
Yep.
I'm sure our American listeners will get those Des Walker questions right
they're
away.
all about the Des Walker
They
questions.
love a bit of Des Walker. Well, you're a fan of Des Walker back in the day.
Obviously, you'll never beat Des Walker, mate. Sorry. Even when he came back when he was an old man.
Yeah.
That's what's going to throw that, because he came back. He played for us for years and years and years, and then he came back in the early 2000s.
Good on him. He's got good legs on him. Do you want to reveal your crazy Chuck Norris joke / fact?
Rob goes first in your channel.
No, I don't have one. So
You don't have one. I win.
By default.
I was like...
Well, I'm going to hear Dylan's first, and then if I think I can easily come up with something better.
No,
then
that's not fair. You didn't write it down, so I wrote mine down.
This is not an answer. It's not a multiple choice answer. It doesn't matter what I...
No, but you didn't write it down. So I put...
I can say whatever I want.
No, you can't, because the quiz is over, isn't it? This is the check-in answer time.
Yeah, basically, yeah, it's question time. Maybe we should wait to the end then, so it gives Rob a little bit more time to think of one.
I'm not going to write it down.
You have to write it down.
No, I don't. Look,
Okay.
multiple choice ones, you have to write down, because if the
So
other
we use it
person's...
as a tiebreaker if us...
Tiebreaker.
Okay.
So, how many appearances did good old Des Walker make for Forest?
I said 400 and something. It was D, wasn't it? I put D.
I put 289, B.
Oh, the answer was actually A, 274.
Oh, so none of us got
No
it, right?
points. Nil point. How many goals did he score in his whole footballing career?
I put 1.
I put 4.
The answer is actually 1.
Yeah, I got
One
right.
goal in his whole footballing career.
I don't remember if he scored that for us or for Sampdoria, but yeah, 1.
I do not know the answer to that question. What is, so race walking, what was the quickest time on record?
I put C, whatever that was.
I guess D.
You said 1 hour 34, Dylan. Rob said 2 hours 1. It's actually 1 hour 16. B was the answer.
We're both wrong. Okay, great.
Walker's,
This is going well.
which is Walker's most popular crisp flavour, apparently.
Really salted?
I put cheese and onion.
Do you know what? I'm surprised, but yeah, it's cheese and onion.
Whoop.
I didn't believe that either, but apparently it is on their website.
Wow.
Right, what is Andrew Lincoln's birth name?
I put A because it was the least ridiculous.
I put A.
Yeah, it is A.
Yay.
Andrew Clutterbuck.
Clutterbuck.
What's the current rating for She's All That on IMDb?
I thought it was 5.9.
Yeah, I put the same.
Spot on.
Yeah. Because
So-
it's It's not a horrendous film. It's just very average.
Yes,
It's not. It's watchable.
it's watchable.
Well,
How many? Okay, so at the moment, how many points have you got, Dylan? Have you got 3? Rob's got 2. So the next one could be quite important.
Ooh.
How many steps are there on the Philadelphian steps up to the art museum?
Dylan will know this.
I put B, whatever that was.
You said 96. B.
I put D. I mean, sorry, not D. C. I've got it written down here.
Then Rob's right. 72.
Oh, whoa.
So you're just quite unfit, Dylan. So you thought it was 96. No, Rob has put it down. Also, that means actually, interestingly,
We got a tie at the minute.
how many points is Walker worth in Scrabble?
I put 18.
18.
13.
Rob is spot on. It's
Wow.
13 on the dot. Wow. So I actually,
Rob wins though.
we still got the crazy.
That was only for tiebreak.
Can we hear? Okay, so Rob, you win the Walker. Hey, you came back from behind. Well done,
I'll see if I can come up with a stupid one once Dylan does
Dylan.
his.
Everyone's on tenterhooks. They can't wait to hear it.
No, because you're leading, so you have to go first, and now I have to run out mine.
Fine, you have one. I don't have one.
I put like Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups; he presses down the earth.
That is good.
I love that one. That's my
Rob's
favourite
face is a picture right now.
I just hate all that stuff.
one. I love all of those things. I love it. They're so funny.
Chuck Norris is so hard that he was in that Bruce Lee film, but his beard was a second choice for that role.
There you go.
Okay.
He got you there.
What do you want from me? I told you I hate all those.
Oh, was that's some Way of the Dragon he was in?
I think it is Way of the Dragon,
okay.
yeah.
There's loads out there. Chuck Norris constructed the hospital he was born in. I heard the other day.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
So stupid. I hate all
I like
those.
that one.
So like internet boring cliche.
Nerd.
No, it's not nerds. It's not nerd. It's not no. That's one of the things nerds aren't to blame for. It's just like idiots. Chuck Norris.
Well,
Like I bet those people haven't even seen Chuck Norris film. Most of them. They haven't seen any of the Delta Forces or any of the Missing in Actions or any of the Golden Globus masterpieces Chuck Norris was in.
so what you're saying is you want a new Walker game with Des Walker with Chuck Norris involved.
And Des Walker.
Des Walker.
Can you imagine?
So we'll get all of them involved, make a new Walker game, and we're on to a winner.